Now we are going to start the part 2 of this lesson. So under this part, we are going to learn how light travels through different materials. So our topic is transmission of light through objects, right? So we'll go through this description. Glass is used in the windows of many houses to get light into the house. So most of us have glass windows in order to get enough daylight to the house, to get sunlight during the daytime, so that we don't need to light electric bulbs during the daytime, right? But sometimes curtains are used to limit the amount of light falling in at the same time, you all know. So during the midday, when the sunlight is very strong, sometimes we have to control the amount of light that enters our house. Okay, so in that case, we can use curtains to cover the windows, right? In some bathrooms, decorative glasses are used to get light. So the bathroom windows shouldn't be see-through. So there are instances we have to use extra light in the bathroom during the daytime. So in that case, we can use decorative glass to cover the windows. So decorative glasses, you all must have seen. There are different patterns present in the glass. Therefore, the glass is not see-through. So sometimes you can use frosted glasses through, right? So in the bathroom, sometimes we use decorative glasses or frosted glasses in order to get light. So in that case, we will get light, but the glass is not see-through as well, right? So we use the property of light transmission through objects in different ways. Now look at these three instances, children. In the first instance, when we want to get a lot of light, we use glass, right? In the second instance, when we have to reduce the amount of light that enters the house, we use curtains to cover the glasses, right? So in the third instance, we need to get an extra amount of light, but at the same time, the glass we use shouldn't be see-through, right? In that case, we use decorative glasses. You must have seen in some roofing sheets. Now the roofing sheets are not see-through, right? So sometimes to get extra light to the building or the house, in some places they have fixed a glass like this, right? So light cannot go through this roofing sheet, but this piece of glass present fixed to one place of the roof. So through that place, light can enter, right? So therefore, different instances, you must have realized that different types of materials are used. Why can't we use the same material here, children? Now, in the first instance, to get enough light, we use glass. Why can't we use glass in the other instances too? That is because there we have to control the amount of light, right? So based on this, it's very clear light travels through different materials in different ways. So under this part, we are going to learn how light travels through different materials. To understand this better, now we are going to do an activity. So the activity is testing the property of light transmission through objects, right? So what are the things we need? We need a cardboard, we need a candle, we need a metal sheet, oil paper with different colors, and a decorative glass, wooden board, and we need a thin glass sheet, and we need polythene. We need a colorless polythene as well as colored polythene too. And we need black paper, a piece of newspaper, and then tissue paper with different colors, right? We will write down. So this one, cardboard, candle, metal sheet, oil paper, decorative glass sheet. Let's write decorative glass. wooden board, thin glass sheet, thin glass, polythene, black paper, piece of newspaper, tissue paper. Okay, children? Cardboard, candle, metal sheet, oil paper, decorative glass, wooden board, thin glass, polythene, black paper, piece of newspaper and tissue paper with different colors, right? So how to do this activity, we will see. Now the second stage of entering the activity or experiment is the method. So even earlier I explained you under this method stage, it's better if you all can draw a diagram, a labeled one, so that we all understand what we are going to do better, right? So how to do this activity? First of all, cut a square of the size of 3 into 3 centimeters in the middle of the cardboard. You have to use a cardboard and you have to cut a square like this. Okay? Then light the candle and keep each of the things you have gathered in the middle of the hole to cover it. You have to cover the hole using different other materials like the black paper, like the tissue papers, likewise, right? Next, move it towards the flame of the candle and observe the flame through the objects. So what we have to do again, we have to cut this hole, and first of all you have to place this piece of cardboard in front of the lighted candle as this candle flame is in line with the hole, so that when you look from this side, you should be able to see now when there's no any material in between the piece of cardboard and the candle, when you look through this hole, you should be able to see the candle very clearly. Now what you have to do is, in order to cover this hole, you have to place different materials. Now here, we have to use different materials here. Oil paper, metal sheet, decorative glass, likewise. Okay? So then you have to place each of these materials in between the candle and the piece of cardboard as this material covers the hole. And then you have to look through the hole, through the material, you have to look at the flame and check whether you can see the candle flame clearly as before. Okay, children? So when you do this activity, you will realize you can't see the candle flame in the same way through all the materials. You can see the candle in different ways. Sometimes through some materials, you won't be able to see candle at all. Understand? Now we will go do this activity in the lab. Right, children? Now we are going to do this experiment to see how light travels through different substances, different materials. So you all can see I have different types of materials. Here I have tissue papers, and here I have some oil papers, and then a polythene paper, and here I have a piece of newspaper and a black paper, and here I have a decorative glass and a clear glass, and here I have a metal sheet and a polythene paper, and I have a wooden board here and a white paper. Right. So first of all, I am going to light this candle, and you all can see, as I explained you before, here I have the black color cardboard with a hole made here. Okay, so in a square shape. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to light the candle, and I'm going to check whether this light travels through different substances, the materials clearly, right? Okay children, first I'll take this piece of decorative glass and we'll see how light travels through this glass, right? Right. Now what can you see children? You all can see the candle light clearly, but can you see the flame clearly children? No, we can't, right? Even though we can see the candle light very clearly, but still we can't see the shape of the flame, okay? Right. Now I will take the clear glass. Now what can you see? It's like before. You can clearly see the light and the flame both, right? So you can see the candle light and the flame as well. Okay? Right. Now I will take this metal sheet. What happens now children? Can you see the light or the flame? No, we can't see any of them, right? We can't see. When the metal sheet is placed in between the candle and the hole, we can't see the candle light or the flame. Okay. Right. Now I will take the polythene sheet. Now what can you see children? You all can again see, it's just like the clear glass, right? You all can see the flame and the light clearly. Now I'm going to take the wooden board. Again, like before, you can't see the light and the flame clearly. You can't see any of them, right? Then I will take the white paper. What can you see children? You can't see the flame, but can you see the light slightly? If you observe carefully, you can see the light slightly. Okay? You can see the light, but not the flame. Okay? Now we'll check with the black paper. Right. Now again, you can't see the light or the flame with this. Okay? The black paper completely covers the light and flame both. Now we will take the newspaper. Right. Observe carefully children. You can't see the flame, but you can see the light. If you observe carefully, you will see the light. Slightly you will see, but not the flame. Okay, now we will check with this different colored polythene sheet. Right. Again, you can see the light very clearly, but the flame is not clear. It means the object is not clear, but the light is very clear. Okay. Now we have a white color oil paper. What can you see again, children? You can see the light clearly, but not the flame, right? We will take the red color oil paper now. Again, you can see the light, but not the flame. But when you use the white color oil paper, the light was more clear, right? Then again, we will use this tissue paper. You can see the light, but not the flame. If I use this other colored tissue paper, you will see the same. You can see the light, but the flame is not very clear. Right, children. So after doing this activity, one thing is very clear. Now we use different materials in this activity. When we use some materials, we could see both the candle flame and the light very clearly. Right, that is because those type of materials let the light pass through them very easily. But some materials like this black paper, this wooden board, what happened when we check with them children? We could not see the light or the candle flame, right? We could not see the light or the candle flame. Why does this happen? That is because light does not pass through these substances. Okay, but some other materials, we could see the light, but we could not see the object or the flame very clearly. So after doing this activity, it's very clear there are three types of materials when we consider about transmission of light. There are three types of materials. Some of them, when we use some of them, we can see both the light and the object or the flame very clearly. And some of them, we can see the light very clearly, but not the object or the flame. And this other third type of materials are there. We cannot see the light or the flame clearly. So we did the experiment and you observed what happened when I was doing the experiment. So it was very clear when we looked through some objects. So you remember how we did the activity. We placed the different types of materials in between the piece of cardboard and the candle. And what we did was we looked through this hole and we observed whether we can see the candle flame clearly. Okay. So do you remember through some materials we could see the candle flame and the light very clearly as it was before. Okay, for example, thin sheet of glass, you remember clearly there was no difference, right? Like before we could see the candle flame and light clearly. But what about oil paper? Do you remember what happened when we used the oil paper? We could see the light, but we could not see the candle flame clearly. Right, the shape and all we could not see clearly, but we could see the light very well. Right. What about the black paper? Do you remember what happened with black paper, children? Black paper, when we place the black paper in between the cardboard and the candle and we looked through the hole, could we see anything? We couldn't see anything. So it's very clear these observations, they are different from each other. We will write the observations now. Right. So the first one is given here. Black color paper. Light and the flame of the candle cannot be seen. Right? So what about the decorative glass? In the decorative glass, even though we could see light, we couldn't see the flame. We will write that. Light can be seen. Flame is not clear. Flame is not clear. Okay. Thin piece of glass. We could see the light and the candle flame both very clearly, right? Let's write. Light and the flame. Light and the flame can be seen. Can be seen. Light and the flame can be seen. No, both light and the flame can be seen. Okay. We'll write next oil paper. Oil paper. So oil paper, again we could see the light but not the flame, right? Light can be seen. Light can be seen. Flame is not clear. Flame is not clear. What are we going to write next? Tissue paper, we use different colors through all of them. We could see the light but not the flame, right? Tissue paper. Light can be seen. Flame is not clear. Flame is not clear. Right. So we will draw the table. It is number 6. What are we going to write? We will write the wooden sheet, wooden board. Wooden board. Now what happened? When you placed the wooden board, it was very clear. You could not see anything. Okay? Light and the flame cannot be seen. Cannot be seen. What about the metal sheet? Metal sheet. Metal sheet also. Light and the flame cannot be seen. Right? So what are the other materials we used? The metal sheet, oil paper, decorative glass, wooden board, thin glass, polythene we used, and the newspaper. Right? So we will write colorless polythene. Colorless polythene. What happened with colorless polythene, children? We could see the light and the flame both very clearly, okay? Light and the flame can be seen. Okay? What about colored polythene paper? There we could see the light, but the flame was not very clear, right? Number 10. Colored polythene. Colored polythene. Light can be seen. Flame cannot be seen. Flame cannot be seen. Right? What about the piece of newspaper? There also the newspaper we used, we could see the light very lightly. It actually depends, children. If we use a dark color, sometimes we can't see the light too. So because we use the light color newspaper, we could see the light but not the flame through it, okay? Number 7. Piece of newspaper. We'll write newspaper. Light can be seen, but slightly. Very slightly light can be seen. Slightly, but flame cannot be seen. Cannot be seen. Right? Even though in the list we did not mention during the experiment, do you remember we used a white paper too? We will mention that too. White paper. White paper. What happened there? We couldn't see the flame, but we could see the light slightly, right? Light can be seen slightly. Flame cannot be seen. Okay, children. So look at the list again. Look at this list again, children. Okay, look at this one. Black color paper, light and the flame of candle cannot be seen. Right? Decorative glass, light can be seen, flame is not clear. Even thin piece of glass, you can see the light and the flame both very clearly. Right? And oil paper, tissue paper, both of them, when you look through both of them, what happens? Only the light can be seen, but the flame is not very clear. Right? And then wooden board, metal sheet, there you can't see. Just like black paper, you can't see the light or the candle flame. Right? And colorless polythene, we can see the light and the flame very clearly. But colored polythene paper, light can be seen clearly, but the flame is not very clear. Right? Newspaper and white paper, flame cannot be seen at all, but light also can be seen, but slightly. Right, children? So when you go through these observations, what can you decide? What is the conclusion that you can come up with, children? So it's very clear. This light travels through different materials in 3 different ways. Can you understand that? Now I will mark it with different colors. First I will take the pink color. Look at this black color paper. Black color paper. And then wooden board. And the metal sheet. Look at these 3 materials. In all 3 materials, light and the flame of candle cannot be seen. Okay? Light and the flame cannot be seen. It means when you place these 3 materials in between the cardboard with the hole and the candle, you can't see anything. Okay, children? Then we'll take a different color. Right. Look at this decorative glass. Oil paper. Tissue paper. Colored polythene. Newspaper and white paper. Read them carefully. So decorative glass, oil paper, tissue paper, colored polythene, newspaper and white paper. When you place any of these materials between the cardboard and the candle, and when you look through them, the light can be seen clearly, but the flame is not clear. Right? Even though we can see the light, flame is not clear. Okay, children? And look at the third type, thin piece of glass. And then colorless polythene. Look at these 2 materials. When you look through thin piece of glass or the colorless polythene, what happens? You can see from the other side, you can see the candle flame and the light of the candle very clearly. Right? So it means when you look at these observations, these materials let light pass through them in 3 different ways. Right? So their light behaves in 3 different ways with all these materials. What is the reason behind this, children? So first we'll take these blue stars, colorless polythene and thin piece of glass. There when you look through these type of materials, you can see the other side very clearly. So when it comes to the candle, you can see both the light and the candle flame very clearly. That is because these type of materials let light pass through them very easily. Therefore, light passes through these materials very well. Right? Light passes through these materials very well. That is why we can see through these materials clearly. Understand? We'll take the second example. These red color stars, decorative glass, oil paper, tissue paper, colored polythene, newspaper, white paper. There what happened? When you look through these materials, you could clearly see the light, but candle flame was not very clear. What is the reason, children? That is because these type of materials don't let light pass through them very well, right? Therefore, part of the light is blocked by these materials. Therefore, only part of the light passes through these materials, or light passes through these materials partially. Understand? Look at the third type, the pink stars, black paper, wooden board, metal sheet. So when you look through these type of materials, can we look the other side clearly? We can't see anything at all. That is because these type of materials don't let light pass through them at all, which means light does not pass through these materials, or light does not travel through these materials. Understand, children? So it's very clear after going through these observations, there are 3 different types of materials, right? Through some materials, light passes very well, and through some other materials, light doesn't pass well, but light passes through partially, right? And through some other materials like this black paper, wooden board, and metal sheet, light does not pass at all. Understand? We'll write it in the observations now. So we will write the first one. Light and the candle flame can be seen clearly when looked through some materials. Look through some materials. Light travels through, or passes through. Light travels through these materials very well. Next one. When looked through some objects, the light can be seen well, but the flame cannot be seen. The flame cannot be seen. Light travels through. Light travels through these materials partially. Only part of light is traveled, right? Next one. When looked through some other materials or objects, some other materials both the light and the flame cannot be seen. Cannot be seen. Then light does not travel through these materials. Okay, children. So the conclusion, light and the candle flame can be seen clearly when looked through some materials. So what is the reason? Light travels through these materials very well. Right? That is why we can see the light and the flame through these type of objects. Right? Very well. Light travels very well. Second type of materials. When looked through some objects or materials, the light can be seen well, but the flame cannot be seen well. Right? Flame cannot be seen. So light travels through these materials partially. Only part of the light travels through these materials. Okay? When looked through some other materials, both the light and the flame cannot be seen. That is because these type of materials completely block the path of light. Right? Light does not travel through these materials. Okay, children. So based on the transmission of light, based on the way the light travels through materials, now you know there are three types of materials. What are they? The materials where the light passes through very well, the materials where the light passes only partially, and the third type of materials, light does not pass through these materials at all. Right? So we'll go to the next. Okay, look at this one. So all these things we discussed are categorized under these three steps. A. Light can be clearly seen when looked through some objects. Even the flame of the candle can be clearly seen. So that group is named as A. Okay? Light can be seen, but flame cannot be clearly seen. Right? The second group is categorized under B. And C is both the light and the flame of the candle cannot be seen through some objects. Right? This is the same thing we wrote in the conclusion part. Okay? So here it is named as A, B and C, the three groups. Okay? And then, so now look at this table. So now we know, according to the experiment that we have done, now we know the observations, how these different types of materials behave, or how light behaves with different types of materials. Now we can include these different types of materials under A, B and C. We'll do that now. So decide to which group, A or B or C, do the objects or the materials we used in the above activity belonged. Accordingly, fill in the following table with the relevant objects. We will do this now. So A means the objects through which both the light and the flame are clearly seen. So the first example given, thin piece of glass. What is the other example? Colorless polythene. Colorless polythene. Colorless polythene. Right. Then B, the objects through which the light is seen but the flame is not clearly seen. Flame is not clear, but we can see the light very clearly. So what are those objects according to the experiment? We will write here given decorative glass, oil paper, oil paper, tissue paper, tissue paper, colored polythene. Colored polythene. Okay, those are the examples. See, the objects through which both light and the flame cannot be clearly seen. Examples given: black color paper, then wooden board, metal sheet. Okay, children? So, the objects through which both the light and the flame are clearly seen, what are they according to the experiment, the materials used in the experiment? Thin piece of glass, colorless polythene. Second group, the objects through which the light is seen but the flame is not clearly seen, right? So decorative glass, oil paper, tissue paper, colored polythene. So according to observations, we can even include the newspaper and white paper too. We will write them too. Piece of newspaper, and white paper too. And sometimes through some pieces of newspaper you can't see, it depends on the color of the newspaper. Okay, so a piece of newspaper, white paper we used, they were also categorized under group B, right? Then see, the objects through which both light and the flame cannot be clearly seen. Black color paper, wooden board, metal sheet. Okay, so here in this experiment we used only the solid materials. What about the liquids and gases? Now when we consider liquids and gases, now we have to check whether light travels through these liquids and gases also in the same way. We'll check that now. Look at these two pictures. You all can see these pictures very clear. There's a road and there's a building and some structures like tanks here, right? Here you can see some trees, okay? But look at this picture, children. Can you see through this picture clearly? Because you all can see this entire environment is covered with fog, right? You all can see clearly these some of these trees closer to the camera you can see, right? The road also you can see, but like you can't see the picture, the distant part you can't see clearly, right? So we'll go through this. So we used only solid objects for the above activity. But the way light transmits through liquids differs from others. Light transmits through air very easily and therefore we can see the things around us clearly. But when there is fog in the atmosphere, it's not possible to see things clearly. So by now you all know, even though we can't see, our entire surrounding is filled with air or air particles, right? So if we can see very clearly, we see through this air actually. Light travels through this air very easily. That is why through air we can see very clearly. Okay, now compare these two pictures again. Look at this picture. Now even though we can't see, we know by now, because in the second lesson also we learn about air, we know by now this entire environment is filled with air. Okay, so we can see the distant part of this picture. That is because we can see through air, because light transmits through air very easily, right? That's why we can see road also you can see clearly, right? All this environment is very clear, right? That is because light travels through air very clearly, right? Very easily light passes through air. It means air lets light pass through it very easily. Okay, children, that is why this environment is very clear. Now look at the second environment, right? It looks like the same environment, but you all can see the environment is covered with fog. So here what happens? So the air is not the same, right? The environment is filled with fog. The environment is filled with fog, therefore the composition of the air it is different now. So here what happens, not like before, we can't see through the environment clearly. We can't see through the air clearly. Right, children? That is because when the fog is heavy, the transparent nature of the air reduces. Now here the air is transparent. Right? We are going to learn about those terms also later, but by now in day-to-day life, you are familiar with the term transparent, right? So you can see through the air, you can look through the air, that is because this air is transparent. But here what happened to this transparent nature of air? It is reduced. That is because of heavy fog present in the environment. So it's very clear, light travels through air very easily, right? So here it's given, light transmits through the air very easily, right? And therefore we can see the things around us clearly, right? But when there is fog in the atmosphere, it's not possible to see things clearly. Okay, children, now we are going to watch a video clip related to this one. So after watching the video clip, it's very clear that light travels through air, normal air, very well, other than the air with fog. Okay, so even by looking at the two pictures, it's very clear. So through normal air without fog, light travels very clearly, very easily. That is why this picture is very clear. The environment is very clear, right? So here, because of the heavy fog present here, you can't observe things very clearly. So if light travels in the water also in the same way, we'll go see now. Look at these two pictures. On the other hand, we can observe different colored fish in a tank with clear water. If the water is clean and clear, you all can see here. You all can see these aquatic plants clearly. You can see fish with different colors very clearly, right? So this environment is very clear. But look at the second one. But if the water is dirty and unclear, we cannot see fish clearly. This happens because light travels in different ways through water and air. But look at this one, right? So here the water is not very clean, right? Water is not very clean, therefore we can see but not very clearly. So when you compare these two pictures, it's very clear that you can, when you look at this picture, you can see the environment inside the fish tank very clearly. That is because the water is very clean, right? But here what happens? Water is not very clean. The water is a bit dirty. Therefore, you can't see the environment very clearly. So the reason is light travels in different ways through these two different types of water, right? In this water, the clean water, light travels very easily, but this one, dirty water, does not let light pass through it very easily. That is why this picture is clear, this picture is not very clear. Now we are going to watch a video clip of the same thing. Okay, children. So after watching the video clip, now it's more clear how light travels through the clean water and dirty water, right? So light travels through this clean water very well. That's why we can see the things very clearly, right? Now we are going to do an activity related to the transmission of light through different types of liquids. So the activity is investigating how light travels through liquids, okay? So what are the things we need to do this activity? We need an empty glass bottle and we need a candle. We need different liquids like water, honey, used engine oil, and then we need colored soft drinks, right? And we need kerosene oil. We will write down transparent glass bottle. Transparent glass bottle. And then candle. Water. Honey. Used engine oil. Soft drinks. And kerosene oil. Okay, children. So, what are the things we need? A transparent glass bottle, a candle, water, honey, used engine oil, soft drinks, and kerosene oil. Now, remember this activity and all the other activities we did even before, you all can do at home, right? When you do these type of activities at home, here now we are going to use only 5 different types of liquids to test with, right? But at home you can find other types of liquids too, right? So when you do this activity at home, not only these liquids, you can use the other liquids too. Okay, so what is the method? Look at this one. Fill the bottles with the liquids. You have to take, you can use the same glass bottle too. You can take one type of liquid into the glass bottle. So after observing through that one, then you can remove that amount of liquid, wash the bottle and fill the bottle with another type of liquid. Okay? Or you can even use number of glass bottles too, several glass bottles too. Okay, children? Fill the bottles with the liquids, then light the candle. Keep the bottle in front of the candle and observe the flame through the bottles. Now, do you remember how we did the same type of experiment before using solid materials? There what we did was, we used the cardboard with the hole and then we placed the candle like this, and then in between the candle and the cardboard, we placed different types of materials and we looked through the hole. We looked at the candle, right? This is also the same thing, but instead of the solid material, here we have different types of liquids placed in between the eye and the candle flame. Okay, so you have to look through these liquids. You have to look at the candle through these liquids and check whether how you can observe the candle flame and the light too. Okay, children? So again, fill the bottles with the liquids. Then you have to light the candle and keep the bottle in front of the candle and observe from the other side of the bottle. Now we are going to do this activity in the lab. Right, children? Now we are going to do this activity to see how light travels through liquids. Now, do you remember we did the same type of activity to see how light travels through different other materials, which means solids, okay? Now, this activity based on liquids. So, we are going to do the same activity, but this time we are going to do different liquids in front of the candle. So, we have different types of liquids here. We have water and here honey. This is used engine oil. Look at the color. And this is soft drink and this is kerosene oil. So first of all, I will light the candle. And I am going to place each liquid in front of the candle and we'll see how we can see the light. First I will take water. Right. What can you see, children? It's very clear. You can see both the light and the flame. It means the candle. Okay, children, you can see both the light and the object very clearly through water. Okay? Right. Then I will take honey. Right, children. What can you see now? You all can see. You can't see the flame or the candle, but you can see. If you observe very carefully, you can see the light slightly, but not very clearly, okay? Observe very carefully. You can see the light. Okay. Now I will take the third liquid. Right. This is the used engine oil. Right, children. What can you see? I'm sure you can't see here the light or the flame. You can't see light or the flame. That is because that is totally black in color. Okay? Right. I will remove that one. And I will take the soft drink. So there you can see the light. The candle also you can see slightly, but not very clearly. Right? You can see the candle very like slightly you can see, and light also can be seen. Okay? Now we'll keep kerosene oil bottle. There you can see the light and the flame very clearly, just like water. Only the color of the liquid is different, but this liquid is a clear liquid. Okay, children? Right. So after doing this activity, it's very clear. Using some liquids, you can see the light and the candle flame very clearly. And some liquids, you can't see the light and the candle at all. And some other liquids are there intermediate, which means you can see the light but not the flame. I hope this is clear. So you observed what happened. It was very clear when you look through different liquids at the candle flame. It appeared in different ways, right? So it was very clear when you look through some liquids, you could see the candle flame and the light very clearly. And through some liquids, you couldn't see the light or the candle flame at all. And through some other liquids, it was very clear that you can see the light, but you could not see the candle flame very well, right? So we will categorize these liquids, types of liquids we used into this table, right? So the liquids through which both the light and the flame are clearly seen. Now, do you remember in the earlier experiment, we named this group as A. This is A, right? The liquids through which, like any material or any object through which both light and the flame are clearly seen, that was categorized under A, right? The liquids through which the light is seen but the flame is not clearly seen, this was categorized under B. The name we gave to this group was B, right? The liquids through which both light and the flame cannot be clearly seen, this was the C group. Okay, children? So from the liquids we used in the experiment, so what are the liquids we used? Water, honey, used engine oil. It was a black color solution, right? Soft drinks and kerosene oil, right? So it was very clear when you look through water and kerosene oil, you could see the candle and the flame very clearly, right? When you look through honey and soft drinks, you could not see the flame, but you can see the light. But remember, children, sometimes based on the color of the honey, this observation might be different, right? Sometimes honey is very dark in color, so you might not be able to see through the liquid very clearly, right? Even though now at the moment, like in this experiment, we observed the light through the honey, but if the honey is very dark, you can't even see that light, right? Therefore, so under this experiment we did honey and soft drinks. When we looked through them, we could see the light but not the flame, right? And what about used engine oil, the black color solution? We couldn't see anything when we looked through this liquid, okay? We will write it under observation. So the liquids through which both the light and the flame are clearly seen. So what are the liquids? Water, kerosene oil. Kerosene oil. The liquids through which the light is seen but the flame is not clearly seen. Honey. Soft drink. Soft drinks. So if you use the colorless soft drinks, now soft drinks are of different colors. If you use the colorless soft drinks, it will act as water. Like, I mean, the same observation as water, you will be able to see, right? The liquids through which both light and the flame cannot be clearly seen. What was that solution? Used engine oil. Used engine oil. Okay, children. So what is the conclusion? So earlier, when we did the same activity with solid materials, you could realize that there are 3 types of materials based on the way the light travels through them. What were they? So some of these materials, light can pass through these type of materials very easily, and through some of the materials, light does not pass through at all, and some other materials, light passes only partially, right? In the same way, when you go through these observations, you can categorize liquids also in the same way, right? So look at this group A, water, kerosene oil, right? You could see both the flame and the light very clearly through water and kerosene oil. That is because light passes through these liquids very well, right? What about the second one, honey and soft drinks? You cannot see the flame, but you can see the light. That is because light passes through these type of liquids only partially. But what about the other one, the third type? There you cannot see the flame or the light, which means light does not pass through these type of liquids. So what is the conclusion? Through some liquids, light passes well or light travels well. Through some other liquids, light does not travel well or light travels partially. Through some other liquids, light does not travel at all, right? Let's write that. Through some liquids, light travels well. Through some other liquids or through some liquids, light travels partially. And finally, through some liquids, light does not travel. Okay, children, through some liquids, light travels well. Through some liquids, light travels partially, right? So through some liquids, light does not travel. So I hope this one is very clear now. Okay? Through some liquids, light travels well. Through some liquids, light travels partially. Through some other liquids, light does not travel at all. Okay? So same as the solid materials, liquids also behave. Okay, children? So now you know, based on the way light travels, there are 3 types of materials. What are they? Some materials. Through some materials, light passes through very well. And through some other materials, light travels only partially. And through some other materials, light does not travel at all. So to these 3 groups, we can give 3 different important names, special names now. Let's see what are they. So transparent objects, so transparent materials, okay? When we look through some objects, we can see both the objects and the light on the other side clearly. We can see both the objects and the light on the other side clearly. The reason is that light is transmitted well through such objects. That is because these type of materials, they allow light to pass through them very easily, right? Light is transmitted well through such materials. Now we give a special name to these type of materials. They are called transparent materials. Do you remember I mentioned this term earlier? Even in your day-to-day life, sometimes we use this term, right? So did you know that the meaning behind this transparent object is what we explained here, right? So these type of objects, these type of materials where light travels through very easily are known as transparent materials. So now what are the examples? Now we should be able to write the examples, children. What are the examples? We will write some solid materials first. Do you remember we used thin glass? Now when we use thin glass, we can see the light and the flame from the other side very easily, right? So thin glass is a transparent material. Colorless polythene. Colorless polythene. What else? We can write liquids too, right? We can write water, kerosene oil, so these are coming under transparent materials. That is because, why do we call them transparent materials or transparent objects? That is because light travels through these type of objects or these type of materials very well. Therefore, if we place an object, let's say a candle, the other side of this material, we can see through these materials the object very well, right? So thin glass, colorless polythene, water, kerosene oil are some examples for transparent materials, right? Now, the next one, translucent objects. What are translucent objects? Right. When we look through some objects, although the light can be seen, the objects on the other side cannot be clearly seen. So we discussed about these type of materials too. When we look through some objects, although the light can be seen, the objects on the other side cannot be seen. The objects on the other side cannot be seen, right? We learn the reason for this too. So what is the reason? These type of objects or materials, they don't let light pass through it completely. Therefore, light passes through them only partially, right? So such objects are known as translucent objects, right? Translucent materials. So what are the translucent materials? We'll write the examples. Now, so far we learned about different types of translucent materials, right? Do you remember decorative glass? Decorative glass, right? Oil paper, tissue paper, some liquids too, yes, honey, soft drinks. So these are coming under some soft drinks. We'll write some, because the colorless soft drinks become transparent, right? So these are coming under translucent materials, right? So if you place a candle, lighted candle in the other side, if you look through these type of materials, what will you observe? You will see the light, but you will not observe the flame clearly, right? Decorative glass, oil paper, tissue paper, honey, soft drinks, and air filled with fog, right? The foggy air is also kind of translucent materials. Do you remember in the previous picture, we compared the foggy air and clear air. So it was very clear the normal air looks transparent. We have to mention that also. Here we can write another one, air. Right? So when air is foggy, it becomes translucent. That's why we can't see through the air clearly. Right? But we can see some of the objects, but not all of them. That is because when the air becomes foggy, it becomes translucent. Right? So what is the third type? Opaque objects. What is the meaning of opaque objects? When we look through most of the objects, we cannot see either the light or the object on the other side, right? We cannot see either the light or the object on the other side. Okay, so what is the reason? That is because these type of objects do not let light pass through them at all, right? So these type of objects are known as opaque objects. So most of the objects in the environment are actually opaque, right? So what are the examples? Let's write some examples. We can write from the experiments that we have done. Metal sheet. Metal sheet. Black paper. Black paper. Wooden board. Wooden board. Cardboard. From the liquids we used, we can write used engine oil. Used engine oil. What about muddy water? You can't see through muddy water too, right? So if the water is very muddy, in muddy puddles, you can't see the bottom of the muddy puddle. That is because this muddy water is opaque object, opaque materials, right? So we will write muddy water. So these are the examples for opaque materials. Understand, children? So based on the way that light travels through different materials, now you all know there are 3 different types of materials: transparent materials, translucent materials, and opaque materials. So transparent materials, when you take the transparent materials, light passes through, light travels through them very well. But when you take the translucent materials, light travels through translucent materials only partially. And when you take the opaque materials, light does not travel through these opaque materials. Understand, children? We hope this part is very clear now. So now you can identify the objects in the table categorized under A, B, and C, right? Do you remember from before we learned this A, B, C groups? From the first experiment, we categorize. Now here also we wrote the liquids through which both the light and the flame are clearly seen, grouped as A. Now you all know what is the name of this group? That is transparent group, right? Or transparent materials. What about the second group? When you take honey and soft drinks, and if you light a candle and look through these type of liquids, you all know now, you can see the light clearly, but you cannot see the flame clearly. Therefore, these are known as translucent materials. And C, opaque, which means light does not travel through these type of materials at all, right? So we will write that too. Right. So we will write A is transparent. Transparent materials. And B, translucent materials. And finally C, opaque materials. Okay, children? So the objects or the materials where light travels through very well are known as transparent materials. The materials where light passes only partially are known as translucent materials, and finally, the objects or the materials where light does not travel through are known as opaque materials, right? Right, children. Now we have to do an assignment. The following table shows some instances where we use transparent, translucent and opaque objects in daily life. Observe some other instances and add them to the table. Now this is very easy. 3 examples are given. You can write down the other examples. Now here they have given only 5 spaces, but you can write many other examples. Look at your environment and find some more examples, right? When you do it, when you add more and more points, you will understand this part better, right, children? So here the first column given objects, second one whether it's transparent, translucent, opaque, and the instances used. Because of the transparent quality, it's used in certain instances. Because of the translucent quality, there are different instances we use them, right? Because of the opaque quality, there are different instances we use them. Okay, so we'll go through them. Glass is transparent, so it is used in a frame photo. What will happen if we use a translucent or opaque material to cover the photo frame? What will happen? We can't see the photo clearly. So to see the photo clearly, you have to add something transparent, right? So glass is the example. Tissue papers, translucent, right? In Vesak lanterns. Now you all can see, you will have seen that in Vesak lanterns, you can see the light beautifully. That is when it is covered with tissue papers, right? So the third one, cardboard is opaque in a shoebox. To cover the shoe properly, sometimes like these shoe boxes are, when the shoes are in the stores, they have to keep for a long time. Light should not enter this type of shoes, like because some shoes are made of leather, right? So we have to protect them. So in that case, they are protected inside a cardboard box. Okay, so what are the other examples that you can write? We can write another example is right. Let's write wood. Right, wood is used in doors. That is because doors shouldn't be, most of the time, let's say the bedroom doors, right, bathroom doors, they shouldn't be transparent. Okay, so we can write it is an opaque object, therefore it is used in doors most of the time, right? Wood is opaque, therefore it is used in doors. Okay, children. And earlier also we learned decorative glass. Decorative glass. It is used in, it is a translucent object, right? Which means light travels partially. So there we use these type of decorative glass in bathrooms, right? In bathroom windows we use. We need to get the light. At the same time, the glass shouldn't be transparent. Okay, so translucent, example, bathroom windows. Bathroom windows. Right. Okay, I'll write one more example. Number 6. Colorless plastic. Colorless plastic. So what type of material is this, children? That is a transparent material. Colorless plastic, no color, therefore it is transparent. Okay, transparent. So what are the instances we use colorless plastic? As a headlight cover of the vehicles, we can use colorless plastic. What will happen as the headlight cover if you use translucent or opaque materials? What will happen? The light will not come out of that cover very easily, right? So headlight should be, the light should come out easily. Otherwise we can't see during the night time, we can't see the road properly, right? So as the headlight cover, we can use these type of plastics. Headlight cover. Okay, children. So you can keep on going in this table. As I told you, try to write more and more examples, children. Okay, when you write more examples, you will check whether each material is whether transparent or translucent or opaque, and you will think of that, right? So to make these type of objects, why this transparent material is used? What is the reason? For example, now glass is used, is transparent, is used to make photo frames. At the same time, it is used in soft drink bottles because we can see the color through the bottle and it's very nice, attractive. Okay, likewise, you can think of other examples like this, children. Maybe the same object, but you can write in different other instances they are used. Okay, so I hope you understood this part clearly. So this is the end of part 2. Now we are going to move on to part 3.